We are back. Make City
Back.
Make Spence, coming off of the long-awaited week one in the USL Championship. I am Adam Hernandez. With me, as always, Sean Spence. Sean,
Yo,
how are you doing? How are you doing tonight? Week one,
yeah.
all set and done.
Well, it's nice to have a week in the books and have 3 points on the table. That's nice.
Hmm.
We have been here before. Um, so we're I guess a lot what we're going to talk about tonight is probably how well it went on Saturday and how little that actually tells us overall. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
you get Darren Smith coming out firing again to start the season, getting a brace in the first half. Newcomer Iguachalam scoring off the bench, off that feed and a nice ball that was received from Maxi um, in late in the second half to, just kind of rub salt on the wound for Brooklyn. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into it, Sean. What were your initial thoughts coming off that 3-0 win over a expansion Brooklyn FC side?
yeah. I was pretty impressed with a lot of different aspects of the performance. Although I will say that back when I used to play Magic, the Gathering, like fairly seriously, we would do a thing where you call it that we called the goldfish, where you wouldn't actually play against another deck. You would just kind of see what it could look like. You were kind of playing against no one. You were just like, okay, so turn two, I can tap two and do this. All right, all right, all right, all right, and like that would be how you'd kind of figure out whether you got the balance right. And this reminded me a little bit of playing against the goldfish. Um, it looked pretty balanced and pretty good, and we'll have to see going forward against decks that are more competitive or competitive at all, how it measures up within the championship. But at the very least, you know um, the ideas seem internally consistent, and everybody seems bought in, which is a good thing to see this early in the season. Um, uh, for me, when I say everybody seems bought in, like what I'm saying is like, are players doing things that are um a little bit outside their comfort zone, but that contribute to the team's cohesion? And I do think that some of that is happening. Like Haruki playing at right back, and our fullbacks were playing very much as fullbacks. They weren't really bombing forward that much. They were really kind of picking their spots and just being kind of defensively available and positioning themselves sort of between the center back line and the defensive midfielder line. So they kind of formed a like trapezoid there. Um, and I think at every other point of our USL Championship experience, our flank defenders have been trying to get forward as much as possible. Um, so I think that I don't know much about Tommy Silver's game, but he looked really solid doing just that, just like playing fullback. And Haruki is somebody that I feel like it could be somebody who can kind of chafe on the constraints there, and like he likes to kind of wander infield and find the ball. He didn't do much of that. He was not he didn't take a lot of risks with the ball. He was very solid, very kind of committed to being a fullback. Um, the other guy that I would point out in terms of like commitment, where it seems like almost visible, was Darren. Like, um, and he got the two goals. But what I noticed is that like he really was running off the ball. When we were pressing, we were effective in part because Darren was using his excellent athleticism to really get on a guy, and uh, you know the first goal was really all the pass from Devin. You know,
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Yeah.
you're just sort of playing there, and then Devin lays the ball in so that Darren can chase it and touch it once and score. Like that's crazy. Um, and but then the second goal is really all Darren and all that like kind of poacher instinct of like, um, you know, I can't remember who I got the name wrong in the story. I'm realizing now. Um, because like anyway, um, uh, the guy who kind of flick-headed it backwards, um, was, you know, clearly trying to put it back to where his keeper could get at it, and then and just misdirected it wildly. And so the keeper is like oh shitting and trying to get out there, and like two or three defenders are converging, but like Darren sussed it out immediately and like was there sort of waiting for it. Like, you know,
Hmm.
everyone else is like shit, and Darren's just standing there like boop, like just puts another, you know, two touches, two goals. And you know, fantastic. And I feel like, you know, but he earned that fortune through his labor defensively, because they really had a hard time breaking us down. And let's talk about the shape just a little bit. Um, I see that uh, people talking about it being a 4-4-2, a 4-2-3-1. I think it's kind of both. I think in out of possession, it's a 4-2-3-1 where Maxi is stepping out of his sort of free role in the middle of the attack and is the, you know, helping lead the press along with Darren. And then, you know, Jesse L and Ates both are um, inverted wingers, in the classic 4-2-3-1 style. Like we are attacking very narrow, really the width of the box. And that is something that's, you know, very 2013, but it works. You know, there's a reason why all like everyone started inverting their wide people. It's because it's way easier to have the wide person carry it in infield on their good foot and get a shot from that angle than it is to complete a cross. Like completing crosses is just really difficult. Um, and you know, all of it is makes sense. The question is like, was this performance an A plus or was it like a B against the Goldfish? We don't really know. But I think at the minimum it was a B. Like it was committed, it was coherent. Um, we didn't have those long stretches of play, where you sense that the team has sort of lost their
Hmm.
intention, you know, where the whatevering, you know, where they're just sort of like, you know, it's, oh, I guess I'll try to beat a guy. Like they really had a fairly focused plan. And you know, I thought it was like there are times in the past where I feel like we've gotten an advantage over a team and don't milk it. We don't get out of that like what we could get, and I feel like the second half using Ates as like the outlet was something that we milked relentlessly in a really pleasing way. You know, like okay, he can roast this guy every time, and so anytime we're caught in deep possession, we're just gonna kick it out there and go man, and and it worked like every time. Um, so, you know, it's pleasing to me to see something like that work and for us to go, okay, yeah, let's just why don't we just do that until they show us they can stop it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, I agree with you. I think that that opening goal to Darren, that pass from Devin was remarkable. Um, I agree with you on the grade. I think at the very least this is a B, against a side that is probably gonna be not that good as the year goes on. Um, as far as Darren goes, that I don't think his performance, and I hate to say this because I don't want to take anything away from what happened on Saturday. Obviously, Darren had his big issue last year was being able to create his own chances. Um, I don't think that um, I don't think he really put to rest any of
okay.
those any of those worries after. Again, it is only game one of the first week, which is fine. He came out, he got 2 goals, and that's more than a lot of players last season could
Well,
say
I
because
mean,
I mean there's a lot of
like,
there's a lot of time last year where players just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, and he was able to do that on Saturday.
right. I mean, if he's going to be a guy who finishes when he gets a decent chance with like first time, I
Yeah,
do think we've surrounded him with players that are like if you think about the basic shape where you've got Ates on one side and Jesse L on the other,
yeah,
both tipping in on their strong foot, and then you got Maxi like just sort of positioning himself for maximum shit disturbance,
hmm
and and Ryan and Kobe, both guys who can really like hit a good longer shot or lie when he comes in. Like,
hmm
okay, there's a lot of guys who can threaten the goal in various situations there. Um, the question is, like, will we? Like, sometimes it feels like we get into the final third and we're looking for some kind of a super chance, and don't I don't know. We've got plenty of time to get into what we didn't love as the season goes on. For right
Yeah, what
now,
were what were your thoughts on
yeah,
I was gonna say,
go
what
ahead.
were your thoughts on Maxi? He was coming into a very different, well, I don't want to say very different, but a different Detroit City FC team than the one that he left after 2024. What were your
Yep.
thoughts on his day on Saturday, and maybe how Danny Dichio was using him in this formation throughout the game against Brooklyn?
I mean, honestly, I don't have a lot of notes about how he's used. I think that um, we can talk about him being an attacking midfielder, and
hmm
but as the key to me is that we're not trying to play through him in that zone. We're not
Sure.
expecting him to do the number 10 shit, where he's going to take the ball in a half turn, do something miraculous to beat three guys, and give it up to the striker who's ghosted in alone. Like that's just not what Maxi does. Like his game is more about motion and ideas, and um he when he's in form, he is kind of just a force of nature. Like he kind of sweeps. He's like the guest nobody knew at the sleepover party, who like is everyone's best friend by the end of the night, and I think that he's really I thought he looked pretty fantastic. Now, you know, that style of play is heavily dependent upon energy levels, you
hmm
know. And so I don't know. Um, well, I'm curious to see how replicable that will be over 34 matches or whatever our season is.
Yeah.
Um, and but for in terms of his performance on the first night, I really that was a 8.5 out of 10 to me. Um, uh, just showed a lot of maturity um, in terms of his decision making and his ability to kind of relentlessly advance the cause of the team. Whatever is like off the ball, he was working really hard, doing things to really contain their better players. I think Obergroen was probably tired of him by the time he got subbed out. Um, and I was delighted with what I saw from Maxi. Just the spirit was there, the drive, the kind of
Seems like he's
ability
happy to be
to
back.
right, 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 and um, all of the things that we kind of worried about, or that I worried about publicly, really, I think they sidestepped pretty neatly. Um, you know like when you think of if three guys in central midfield, one's Maxi and he's going to be the most attacking, and then you got Kobe and Ryan Williams. Um, how are they all going to fit together? That could be kind of, they could be clunky, but it didn't look clunky at all. Like they really had either like probably the coaching staff has really thought through the roles, and they've got the players to buy into the roles, and like you could see, it looked to me like Kobe's kind of the Rolls Royce in possession. When we really want to kind of keep the ball and start the thing going, he drops down and he drops back into the classic, split the center backs slot, that halfback role. And Ryan moves forward and kind of is a little more, kind of assists with the play, but then Ryan clearly is the first leg breaker. He's the kind of, as soon as the ball is lost, he's stepping into that space in front of the center backs and kind of making sure that the door is locked. And it just, I mean, it looked really good. And I hope that it continues that way, and that it's not just like that, you know, that really after the second goal, half an hour in, Brooklyn were just like, man, fuck this. um, and we're being really roundly outplayed, and then just got kind of sadder and sadder and more outplayed and more kind of on an island where our guys were just sort of like, arms around shoulders, like singing drinking songs together, like they're best mates. So yeah, it was, um,
Before we move on, I do want to get your thoughts on that back line. We you talked about it a little bit about with Tommy Silva and then Haruki on the wings. I want to get your thoughts though on the center backs with Devin and Cal Montgomery. Devin, obviously, was announced before the game that he is the captain this year,
yeah.
which is no
I mean, I think
surprise.
that was what we hoped for.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
delighted.
exactly. But those two specifically, because obviously the center backs was a big question mark heading into the season. It's probably going to be even a bigger question mark because we do have some news on Michael Bryant, which we'll get to here shortly, as well as Darren Smith. But your thoughts on Devin, Cal Montgomery, and then Carlos Herrera too, who gets the clean sheet opening weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start with Carlos. This is one of our one I nearly burned off in our pre-show show. Um, really impressed with Carlos. The City were playing with the ball through the goalkeeper's feet a lot more reliably and consciously than I've seen them do maybe ever. Really in stable possession, he was stepping into the back line and letting them keep the ball, like he's playing sweeper keeper stuff.
Hmm.
And that was something new. And I'm curious whether we can, I hope we can continue to see that kind of grow as part of their game. Because right now we're sort of just like we're recapitulating the last 15 years of tactical evolution, and I'm here for it. Like we can go, let's do tiki taka, let's go. Um, uh, I thought Carlos was really good. He was called on to make one save, really. That where the guy tried to sneak the free kick in low,
Yep, yep.
and was really alert to it.
Second
And
half, second half, right? Yeah,
yeah, I believe so.
yep.
It was yes, it was down at the playground end.
Yeah, because I was on
Um,
the opposite. Yep, I remember. I was on the opposite side. I was on the sweet end. So watching.
um, yeah. Then of course Devin was phenomenal. You know, I think in a lot of ways this is maybe his natural position. He's a right-footed center back. He's played a lot of left center back because he's been paired up with a couple other right-footed center backs his whole
Hmm.
career, and he's pretty flexible. Um, and he looked great. And Callum Montgomery, um, there were there were a couple of set pieces where his size was just a security blanket there, where it
Hmm.
was like the ball's kind of put in the mixer, and then the big tall lad nods it away, like, oh, that's nice. I like that. Like I like and really, looked. I mean, it's nice having a right-footed, left-footed center back pair like that. Looked really cool, and in terms of like keeping the ball, it has so many little advantages, like just the angle that left footer gets, where Devin wouldn't. Devin would be kind of turning his body naturally. He'd have to turn his
Hmm.
body inward to make certain angles, and like it's going to mess him up defensively. And like um, they just really looked the business. It's not like there were a lot of um, chances, a lot of moments in the final third for Brooklyn, but the ones they did, get felt very expertly kind of sealed off and held at bay. Um, I think I said in my game story that if we played them forever, we would have won by infinity. It was just kind of felt like, okay, we're just a good bit better than this team in every way. And like the longer we play, the clearer it is. And that isn't a feeling we've had a whole lot of.
Sure, absolutely.
Really in the professional era. I mean, I guess NISA, but in the USL Championship, like that's really never been much of a thing. Is
No.
us just like getting on top of a team and going, yeah, okay, yeah, actually, I'm gonna ride you all the way home, doggy. Like this is there's no coming back. Like this must be what Louisville City feels like a lot of the time.
Um,
Like where the other
yeah,
team's in it for like half an hour, and then they just sort of like, nope. Like, well, we're up 3 goals up. Look at that. Look how isn't that?
yeah.
Aren't you sad? Aren't you ready to go home? Okay, yep, let's do this.
And that's what happened.
Uh,
And that's what happened too. Like the second half, they just kind of sat back, let the game come to them, and countered when they needed
just
to
counter the
counter.
shit out of them. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like if they start pressing us, just give it to Ates, and then they'll they'll spend 5 minutes going, okay, well, we can't press them, and then they kind of. Eventually the coach is like, get up there, like, okay, well, he's going to do this again. Oh my God, he's doing it again. Uh, yeah, it was wild. To, watch at home, watch the poor right back. Just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, they're giving me the yellow card, they're giving me the 8 million tick offs. We've switched positions, like we put the defensive midfielder back here on him. He's got the yellow card and has gotten ticked off, and now you subbed him. Like, dude,
Yeah.
you don't have any more cards to give. Like,
Um, it wasn't obviously everything wasn't 100% great coming out of this game. I did talk to Danny afterwards, and obviously he said too, it was a normal coach talk as far as, the team's still looking rusty in some areas, which is, common coming from coaches. It's never the best that they can play, especially coming out of
yeah,
week one too. They
yeah,
still
totally
look
fair.
rusty,
Well,
which, yep, yeah, absolutely.
like you don't want to take a shit on, like he's not, I think that's just being polite to Brooklyn.
Yes, he's not going to come out and say,
You
"Well,
know?
yeah, they sucked and we should
Yeah,
have put on three
yeah,
more on them."
exactly.
But no, and again, it's week one for Detroit City, and there's going to be some aspects too that are rusty as well. But I did mention too about Michael Bryant. Michael Bryant was in a boot. At the game. And I guess he suffered an injury during one of the preseason friendlies. I think it
It
was
was the Madison
against,
friendly.
yeah,
That's
it was the Madison. Yep.
because that's when he got subbed in the first half, and we were
Yep.
talking about it. Like,
Yep.
it'd be nice to know
And
what happened. Like,
yeah,
that's what
and
happened. He got cleared
well,
out.
we now know to some extent what happened. Apparently he sustained some type of ligament injury. I don't know exactly where. Somewhere on his leg. And by the sound of it from Danny, it sounds like it's not good. Danny mentioned that it is they're hoping it's not as serious as they presume it to be. Um, and they're still kind of waiting on tests and word back from the doctor, and the short term isn't good. Um, Obviously, the thing with Michael right now is that's another piece that is missing from those defensive center backs. Um, and that's a big loss for this team. Michael Bryant is
Right.
a big loss for this team. No matter, which way you wanna try to shake it or justify it. Michael Bryant not being in the lineup with this team right now is it's a loss. It's a big loss.
Oh,
Um, and
absolutely.
yeah, and there's no telling right now when he's going to be back, if he's going to need any type of surgery. Interestingly enough, though, this is, I believe, Sean, this is the final year of his deal, so obviously it's not ideal for Michael from that standpoint. But obviously the most important thing is his own health and being able to get back out there and
Yeah.
kind of resuming things for himself. But as far as Detroit City goes, that's not
Well, the
not good.
the like at this point in the season, very early in the season, this is like having one of your like starting pitchers go down.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a lot of innings to replace. Even if Michael, like, I mean, it sounds to me like Michael, it was going to be Michael and Devin.
Yes. Yes.
And then Michael got hurt, and so Callum came in, and Callum looked great,
Yep.
and so awesome. But and let's imagine that stays. The problem is that like, who's your backup center back now? Rio Hope Gunn, probably.
Hmm.
And really, that means you're going to be rotating. Like he's going to get a ton of minutes at center back, where maybe you were hoping more for him to be on the flanks. And it's like the other thing is that you tend to, if you've got starters who are going to get worn down over the course of the season, I'm thinking really of like Devin at this point because he's what, 30,
Yeah.
31, starting to get to an age where your body doesn't respond real well to playing like to playing 90 minutes every match, week in, week out.
Hmm.
And you're going to need some time off. Um, and you're not going to get any, so that can be tough. Hopefully it's not bad for Michael and he can, it's more like a 6 week thing than a 6 month thing. Um, uh, but even a 6 week thing is not great.
It's not ideal, no.
But yeah, I mean, you're back to square one, fitness wise almost.
Hmm.
You know, anything in the lower body is has an extra hurdle with football, obviously. And
Especially on the
uh,
Keyworth pitch too. I can't
yeah,
imagine that's
it's
that's
not the kind of pitch that gives you a lot of confidence in your footing, I think,
yeah.
So um yeah, that is rough. And I hope that it's much it's less bad than we're anticipating.
Yeah. The other one, Sean, was Darren Smith. Darren Smith was subbed out in the 58th minute, Saturday. Iguodala came on for him, and obviously Iguodala made the most of his time and got
I
that.
think immediately became the thickest player in USL Championship history. Just upon subbing in, like there's a new record, thickest dude ever. Like,
Yeah, he's a compliment to Diop out there, definitely.
like, oh my God, that guy is like, yeah, it's like somebody fucked with his aspect ratio. They're like, no, shorter, wider, shorter,
Yeah,
wider. There we go.
dude could yeah, I think I heard the comment somewhere that he can go and maybe play for the Lions.
Right,
Low
right,
center of gravity,
right.
good
Exactly.
runner.
Learn to get your shoulders down. Like, wow.
Yeah, he's gonna be tough to take down. So yeah, but Darren Smith subbed out 58th minute. I asked Danny after the game what was going on with Darren, because Detroit was playing with 10 for like maybe like a minute or two before they took Darren off permanently and put in
Right.
Iguodala. And he was kind of hanging around with Maureen on the touchline, looking to see if he can get back in, but obviously he couldn't. I asked Danny after the game what was kind of going on with that. Um, and he said it was a knee issue. And I'm not quite sure if he had a knee issue heading into the game and this kind of stirred it up. But it sounds like Darren is dealing with a little bit of a knee issue and obviously going to be, hearing back on that as well. And obviously that would be another big time loss if
Yeah.
Darren is
Well, I
is
mean,
out for an extended time. Go ahead.
like, well, I mean, I'm gonna kind of lead into the next match, which is,
Oh yeah,
tomorrow
yeah,
night as
yeah,
we're
absolutely.
recording this against Michigan Rangers. And if there's even a niggle on Darren, I would hate to see him play. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Danny
um,
mentioned too that they were going to have a rotated starting 11,
if
rotated
we can't
roster.
beat an off-season second year NPSL side, with some subs, you know, um, like I'd like to see Bilal play.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm assuming Bilal's going to play. I'm assuming Delu's going to get the guys who didn't get a lot of time Saturday. Rio Hope Gunn, I mean, came in the 90th. Delu came in the 90th. Reese Williams didn't play at all. Um, Connor wasn't even dressed. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
dealing with any injury. I don't know if you've heard
I don't
anything on
know either.
him.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Connor was
I think we got a large enough roster now that we're not dressing
exactly,
everybody.
exactly. So I expect some of those guys to play, and Danny said, which is expected, that it is going to be a rotated roster heading into tomorrow. But I can't think that Darren is going to play at all tomorrow,
Right.
and he shouldn't,
Right.
and he shouldn't. But yeah, as far as heading into tomorrow, I mean, Michigan Rangers, Sean, you and I were both talking before we hit record tonight that we're trying to find information on the
I
Michigan
mean,
Rangers.
we're
It
pretty
was
sure
kind
they
of hard to
actually
come by.
exist. They really do exist. They had a good year
Yeah,
last year in their
yep,
first year.
yep. And they had to have some success last year to be in the Open Cup because amateur sides have to qualify to get into the Open Cup, which is what they did. They're from the west side of the state, I think Grand Rapids area.
Yeah, I think they're Grand Rapids side.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
the fact that they're called Rangers makes me
yeah,
think that they're
yeah.
fucking Grand Rapids.
I'm a Celtic I'm a Celtic guy, so yeah, every time I hear Rangers, I get a little
Uh,
squeamish.
I
But
just, there's the choice of theocrats everywhere.
yeah, no kidding. If we see some of their support, if their supporters do come down from it and they're waving the Union Jacks, then
Jesus
um
Christ.
nah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know anything about the Michigan Rangers. I don't
Show up in
know.
Brighton for your ass kicking.
I mean, think about this, Sean. Do you think? I mean, the match moved from Keyworth to the Legacy Center out in Brighton because of it's anticipated that weather isn't going to be great tomorrow. Um, but
It
I
is in
don't
fact
know.
snowing hard here right now.
Is it snowing? I think there were flurries down here. Um, I don't know if you're Michigan though, if you're the Michigan Rangers, you got to be kind of a little disappointed not playing in Keyworth and what's
Yeah. You
presumed
get
to
drawn
be the
away at Detroit
final year.
City, and yeah, you get drawn away at Detroit City, and you're going to play in a tin can.
Yeah.
Man, come on.
Um, yeah, that sucks. That sucks if you
But soon
are
that'll never happen, right? Soon we'll have our own venue, and
yeah,
anytime there'll be a beautiful grass field to play on.
beautiful grass field. I don't know if it's going to be I don't know. I don't think the club got the enough money or enough funds secured to do the retractable pitch like they have at Real Madrid. I think it's just going to be
Jesus
the
Christ. Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's just going to be the regular grass pitch,
Like,
if
okay,
that.
so if you're doing like one of like some kind of weird manager game where you're building the stadium, there's like, imagine there's like 10 field upgrades. That's the 10th one. We're talking about like the third one. This is
Yeah.
like the first level with actual grass. Grass.
Um, but yeah, Sean, I can't imagine that they're going to have much of an issue tomorrow against. I think this is probably I want to say like even when they played Gold Star a couple of years ago, which Gold Star played them really well. Gold Star probably should have won that match. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, this has to be like I don't say the weakest side, but because I don't know anything about them, but the most unknown side that they've maybe played in quite some time.
I mean, um, when we're playing the sides that are right around here, That means you're playing a lot of dudes that you're running into in the bubbles during the off season. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of
Yeah.
guys you know. And you may not know them, but you know their games a little bit. You know that that dude's from Eastern Europe and he always wears cornrows and has neck tattoos and he's he
The Max guy
right,
from Gold Star.
right.
Yeah.
He's gonna run right at you. Um, and um, so you like Western Michigan guys are probably balling like in Chicago or right there around Western Michigan. They don't come this way, so they're kind of in a different bubble than us. Um, is what I have observed. So I think that there is likely to be a little more mystique around the matchup. Like we're not
Mhm.
they're if they've got you know a secret dude. Um, it will be a secret. I think
Yeah.
we will be surprised. We'll be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
somebody needs to kick that dude. Um, and the thing the thing I'm always afraid of in these kind of matchups, where we're rolling out, um, you know, mostly guys who haven't really, who weren't really like getting a look in for the starting 11. Um, like a few dudes who are potential starters. And like I'm thinking about like, Rio Humpkund and Lijop and Reese Williams and Agbuchulam and the
Preston.
Preston Ibor
Yep.
Taka, right? So like those guys, the thing I worry about is that what happens in these matches is they want to prove that they're like really superior on like a existential level, and they don't try to win the match.
Hmm.
And if we get caught up in like, like we just need to go into there with a very like cynical professional view of this. This is 90 minutes to get through with a win. You want to like you don't want to be part of any hopeful tale on their side. If they
Hmm.
seem hopeful, kick them. If they like stand up for that and thrust their chest at you, just walk away. Like don't give them anything to push against. Don't like just be better than them in every way and be completely unfazed by it. Um, and I worry sometimes that, we'll try to be too tricky or try to be too and not really lay in for the fact that you're playing in a tin can in your first competitive match for most of you all season. So the timing's not really there to pull off beautiful, miraculous things. And maybe we need to get like you can try that stuff once we're 3-0 up. And if that's after 20 minutes, great. But like if it never happens, then you never try
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah,
we just
definitely.
focus on winning this match.
Yep. 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 It seems like the goals are pretty set, are pretty standard in a match like this. Try to inflict your will, play your game, and get out of it without suffering any injuries
Right.
to players, especially after that first week against Brooklyn, where now there's some questions surrounding Darren, and obviously the big question marks surrounding Michael. Um, but yeah, was it 7 p.m. tomorrow in Brighton Legacy Center? Have you ever
In
been there?
Brighton,
Are you going tomorrow?
I am not.
Yeah.
It's just getting down to Brighton at 7 after, I work until like 5:30. It's gonna like basically be impossible.
It's an
With the way
easier drive for you though, isn't it?
it's right down 23.
Yeah.
It's just that part of 23 will be like
Oh
really heavily
God.
traffic. It'll be like a
Yeah.
nightmare
Oh
traffic
yeah. That
situation.
yeah, that portion of 23 is a nightmare at that time. Um
Like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, that last 10 minutes takes 45 minutes. Like, oh,
yeah, because I know during the summer I have to go up to Fenton to get my son because he stays out at his aunt's house with his cousins during the summer. and I got to travel to Fenton, have a couple of days a week, and oh my God, dealing with 23 where that hits, where that goes off on a 96,
Yeah.
uh, nightmare,
Yeah.
nightmare. But from my house in Plymouth, it's exactly the same distance to Brighton as it is to Keyworth. So, um,
Wow.
yeah, there's no difference for me when it comes to going to Brighton or going to Keyworth. I don't know how they're going to fit everybody in if they sold, a decent amount of tickets um to that.
I'm guessing they must not have sold that many
I
tickets.
I'm
You
guessing
know what
they
I'm
haven't
saying? Like,
because
if there's
yeah,
no way they had that 1,600 tickets sold, and now they're like on the phones trying to get 600 people to give up tickets.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that place. I mean, it's decent. It's a tin can, but I want to say that. Remember when
yeah, we
remember
played
the
out
tin
there
can? Yeah, remember
a
the
couple
tin can in
times.
Pontiac?
Yes. Oh
I
yeah.
think this place is a little like seat wise, it's smaller. I believe. I don't think
Oh
they
really?
have
I
as
thought it was
many
larger
seats.
for some reason.
For some, for what I can remember,
Yeah, I don't really
I mean,
know.
2019 was one of the last time I was at the tin can, um, in Pontiac, but. I don't for some reason I don't think that they hold as many. I could be wrong though. All I know is if they sold a decent amount of tickets to this, then they're gonna have some issues trying to fit everybody in.
Right.
Um, well, we've got the Open Cup match tomorrow night against the Rangers.
So I guess if I don't know, is this even going to be out before the Open Cup match?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no, I'm gonna try to get it out tonight.
okay. So yeah, if you're sitting there like, well, I don't know, like you will have an opportunity to have an outsized impact on the match if you show up because you'll be one of a couple hundred people, a few
Yes.
hundred people, as opposed to one of 4,000 and change.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah. Aside from that, though, we've got Indy 11 coming up this Saturday for a league match. In which case, I mean, Sean, we saw what Brooklyn was this past Saturday at Keyworth. And that's the same Brooklyn side that beat Indy 11 the weekend prior. 1-0 in Brooklyn, Brooklyn's first ever match. They got their goal off of a penalty.
Yeah.
Um, which went right straight down the middle. Eric Dick looked,
Hammered it.
yeah, he hammered it. Top
Like
shelf.
roofed it. Yeah, like
Yeah, he roofed it.
Jesus.
Eric Dick looked shocked that he ended up going, straight down the middle.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
but
his save attempt was more like he was sort of just leaping in alarm. Like, what?
like, what the
You
fuck are
know,
you
the,
doing?
I don't even know where to put my hands. Like, this is crazy.
um, I don't think Brooklyn looked particularly good in that opening match that they ended up winning against Indy.
Yeah.
Um, Indy shot the ball a bunch of times. I think they only got four on net. Um, Rich Zanovich, um, Brooklyn's keeper looked awful in that game against Indy. Managed to come away with a clean sheet. Obviously, didn't look all that great this past Saturday. I really don't know what to make of Indy. To be completely
Hey,
honest,
I
yeah,
mean,
heading into Saturday.
like,
It's early, obviously. Yeah,
I'm extremely leery of the prospect of jinxing us, you
yeah,
know? Um, but wow, did Indy look really bad against Brooklyn? Now,
yeah,
um, both teams created some chances against the other one. Which I'm saying, like Brooklyn created chances fairly fluidly against it for stretches against Indy, and of course got lots of chances created against them by Indy. Um, but Indy, like most of the good situations they got into did not end in. It's like something would happen between the moment where you're like, oh, this is good, and when the shot would take place. They'd usually get a shot, but they'd somehow fuck it up to where the shot they were settling for was much worse than what you thought it was going to be. And that just kept happening that way. It's like, they and I have been a long-been admirer of Cam Lindley, who is, now a kind of a long-serving member of Indy 11. But the years have not been kind to his mobility, and he was never like a super mobile midfielder. His quality delivering the ball is I think beyond dispute. Um, he's one of those guys kind of like Kobe Hernandez Foster or Aaron Malloy or a few other dudes in this league who can really leap you forward into attack in a really cogent way pretty consistently, with one big linking pass, um, but he is also one of their defensive midfielders, and he's he's I think a pretty serious liability from what I can see at this point. And if we play with the same like intensity and fluidity that we displayed against Brooklyn in Indy, I think that we are going to be, you know, once again fairly euphoric about the outcome. Um, because it might be that we just have like two of the softest touches in the league to open up the season. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is that Indy hasn't. I think Indy's had some time to think about what they've done,
Yeah.
and they could roll out dramatically different in terms of their shape and their focus and all that kind of stuff. I expect them to have looked at our tape a whole lot and
Hmm.
probably to have a modified man-to-man pressing idea. I think that's probably why we are working on getting Carlos Herrera involved in the because then you know you've ruined the ability for the man-to-man pressing to account for everyone. Um, so that's why you move the keeper into that. So it'll be interesting. Football's fascinating. I just want more data. Frankly, I'm very encouraged by what we've seen went through 90 minutes, and we need more of minutes like that to feel secure about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Cameron Lindley is, kind of one of those players that, know if he's and if he's somebody you want to keep an eye on heading into this game, like you mentioned too. He's 28 years old. A lot of tread off the tires with him. Obviously, they're going to be going up against a more experienced keeper in Eric Dick, who was great for Pittsburgh last year in their
Yeah.
march to the championship. Um, I expect him to have a better game against Detroit City this coming Saturday. Other guys too, Bruno Rendon too up top, 25-year-old out of Cuba. Um, Again, I mean, you're going to be up against a more talented team than Brooklyn FC was, as far as
Yeah, I don't
the
know. I don't know if it's in terms of just raw talent. I don't know.
uh,
I think Brooklyn's they've got some like I think that one thing we are failing to account for Brooklyn and for the other new team. What's it? Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Yep, Jacksonville.
Um like you just don't have any ongoing playing relationships at all
Sure.
in
Yeah,
the
no,
and
that's
so
fair.
like in it and so like Ryan Williams and Maxi have had so many more, even though Maxi came in from Rhode Island this year, they played together a year before that. And
Hmm.
so,
There's
like,
some familiarity with him.
right, there's
Yeah.
familiarity there. Um, and, uh, like there's linkages like that right through the squad for us that Brooklyn has none of. And you could really see it, uh, the, the that was a pretty challenging emotional environment, I think, and going down after, you know, 150 seconds and then going down and then two down after half an hour. And just getting dominated, just getting like, kind of snuffed out and they're we're creating like kind of we're careening toward goal every 30 seconds and they're just like fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Um like
Um,
that was a bummer. And they just don't have any of those sort of emotional um like linkages to bear themselves through that kind of stuff at all. Um
Brooklyn is a true expansion side. I mean,
right.
it's unlike Detroit City when they originally came into USL
Exactly.
Championship, which may have caught
Exactly.
a lot of people off guard. Is
That
this
is
team has been
exactly
playing
what
together
coffee
for,
is.
yeah, this team had
Right.
been playing together for some time. Trevor had them, a
Like
nice,
you might not be
well-oiled machine.
impressed by our individual players, but we're fucking
Yeah,
grooved. We know
yeah,
we know what we're good at.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, like it's not it, like winning a football match isn't about like, it's not a tricks competition. You know, it's not the superstars. Like, like you're not pressing a sled full covered in weights. Like it's really there's a lot of ways to affect the game that are um difficult to quantify. Um and all of those variables are going against those sides for the foreseeable future. Um, and that's a tough road to hoe, man. Like I really think that this is going to be a season a lot like I think it's going to be easier to maintain a sort of positive vibe around the team this year. It'll be like when we had the MLS two sides in the league where
Mhm.
like your your losing streak is only as bad as your next game against those guys. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like there was always that first season, especially those MLS two sides were like a fucking lifeline. They were like oases in the desert. You're kind of like, oh God, we're getting ground down and like, we're just fighting for every inch to like stay competitive in these matches. And then we'd go against an MLS two side and just like wax them and like, be up like 3 goals in 40 minutes and just be, like, woo, all the starters sitting on the bench, like, making jerk off motions and like it's amazing.
God, there was
Um,
that one game though that we had against Atlanta United 2. That's when we lost Brad Dunwall. And that's the thing with those matches
hmm,
is you
yeah.
is one of the biggest things. It's win the game but come out of it uninjured. And that was
Mm,
the one game where Brad Dunwall went down
yep,
and I don't think he was ever the same after that.
yeah.
Um, which sucked. That sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, I was excited for the Brad Dunwell era. And then the injuries happened and yeah. Um,
Well, we've got Indy this weekend and then you want to make the most of that one because then you bring in Perman Ball and Charleston Battery
right.
for March 28th before Maxi has his, makes his return to Providence in Rhode Island. But
Yeah.
then April 11th, you hopefully get the feast on Sporting Jacksonville. Um,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
yeah,
honestly, like not a terrible start. Is the having Charleston playing them at home. Um, uh, Although honestly, I feel like if we go back and look at it, we do about as well on the road against Charleston as we do at home.
we beat
Uh,
Charleston at home. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago, last year
Was
we
it
lost
two?
at home and we won on the road, I think. Or
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because it was 2 years ago at home. Because I remember Elvis Amo got one of the goals, at
Yeah, that
Keyboard.
was in our, one of our traditional win the first five, you know,
Yeah.
starts to the season, which is like, why I think we need to approach this like a little carefully because what we've shown the tendency to do is to whip this shit up like a souffle, which then collapses as soon as like, the goals stop going in very easily.
Yeah, it could be a very
Um,
Jekyll and Hyde team sometimes.
right, right. The hope is that we've got, really, Igbuchalam and Ibortaka are you know, like I don't think they're really in the line to get starting minutes at all. Like if everyone
Hmm.
stays healthy, they shouldn't be starting really at all. But having a couple of different dudes with a different look, uh, they're very distinctive styles, and I I really liked that, like seeing them come on and kind of sussing out how different their styles are.
Hmm.
Seeing it, like Buchalam is like this kind of like you know crazy thick dude, who's also pretty quick and is like in his mid 30s, and able to talk much more kind of mobile, run at you, dude. We're gonna need all of that. We're gonna need goals from everybody, and because this is not an overwhelmingly talented roster, but it's a reasonably talented roster, and it's fairly deep. And I think that you know that is something that we've never really had. Um, and I think you told me that there's somebody saying that, was it you? Somebody saying something about a defender, a kid coming in from Charlotte to Detroit, a player.
That was Garrett before we sending over
That's
that
that's
text.
yeah.
Yeah, which I
Like,
don't
huh?
yeah,
I'm
I
not.
don't I
Is he
don't
a defender?
yeah, is he, is he a striker, for the Facebook group?
No, yeah, no. Well, just because Michael's hurt, like we're gonna need minutes. I have to admit that baseball is coming, and so I've been playing a lot of out of the park. So I'm really worried about my starting minute, how many innings I'm going to get out of everybody.
No, yeah, no,
Um,
yeah. The back line is definitely the biggest. I would say the biggest concern. Because again, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. There's a bunch of different combinations, a bunch of different things you can do up top if Darren ends up going down.
right.
Um,
Yeah. That's my feeling
um,
very much is that we have a lot of different guys who can do different things in the attack now, and
yeah.
you know, yeah. So as long as the defense
Um,
doesn't fall apart, we're all right.
we're kind of moving through the show pretty well tonight.
Yeah. Hey.
One more thing tonight, Sean, from me. Obviously, the labor negotiations between the USLPA and the league continue. No strike as of yet. Haven't heard anything new. I talked with Carlos Herrera after the game as well, who is Detroit City's union rep. I asked him flat out too, "Are you guys gonna strike this week?" And he said, I knew I was gonna get an answer out of that one." He said no. He's just hoping things get done sooner rather than later. A very, straightforward,
Right. Right. He
um,
practiced. He
expect
practices.
yes,
Yeah.
expected response.
Well, I'm glad that the union guys have gotten some media training. That is promising.
That'd have been the big scoop. Oh, you guys are gonna strike.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
What?
but they obviously did the minute standstill at the start of the match.
Right.
Large Keyworth crowd was voicing their support of the players. Um, which was very nice to see. I know beforehand, they're passing out, like card stock, to write messages in support of the players, before the game, and you saw supporters holding those up, during the match as well, which was nice
Yeah.
to see. I don't know, Sean, just your initial thoughts on kind of the support that the players have been getting. It's a support that I assumed was going to be there from,
Right.
especially from this supporters group in general. I'm not just talking about NGS, but Detroit City F supporters, Detroit
I
City
mean,
FC supporters across the board.
I guess that this is a sports union situation which presents that doesn't present any of the usual difficulties supporting the players. You can't like none of these players are millionaires.
Hmm.
Nobody's getting over like they're all like it's as hard as it gets. Like they're this is a middle class union of middle class players who are here with middle class concerns about like working in a physical field in the United States of America, which is that like, look, man, I gotta have fucking insurance, okay? Like you gotta
Yeah.
provide you if you're gonna be my employer, you gotta provide insurance because the only other option is like what, Medicaid? I don't think they want to get paid so little that they qualify for Medicaid. Um, and it's unconscionable. It's like it's really just like showing how little you value the players as assets even.
Hmm.
To not, and I understand that teams are losing their ass or whatever. I understand the other side of it. Um and would be, I think, more understanding of those facts if all of the statements around that didn't elide the role of the central office like absorbing huge amounts of money in expansion fees and providing you know insufficient assistance to make sure these businesses are on good footing. Um, and whether that comes in the form of revenue sharing or whatever, that clearly is something they're set up not to allow. And we've ranted about this before, but um, the fact is that the owners are in cahoots with these grifters and this third party who's trying to you know like make the kind of money that private equity wants to see. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
oh shit, well, that's not going to be good for workers ever. And so I think this is it is unsurprising to me that they're getting support. And it is notable how just kind of cowardly and clumsy the censorship of those messages is during the broadcasts. Like there were I think I was not alone in thinking that the sound was out.
Yeah.
Because the whole pregame show there was no sound. But then we realized it was because the crowd had been chanting about the players for a long time, and they had just shut off all the sound altogether. Like, well, okay, we're going to have no sound then. It's fine. It's fine that if the season opening spectacle is no spectacle whatsoever, rather than anyone here that the crowd is supportive of the players, and they're like desperately trying to frame around the people who are like desperately trying to stick their um, you know sign a deal signs and like behind the corner takers, which props to everybody on the fence line trying to get a sign in there. Like
Yeah.
that was pretty great. I will say the anti-ice banners look good on the fence line. Um, and but I I don't know where this goes, like at some level I feel like this should just be a long-term shaming process. Just be like, okay, well, you know, this is the 18th match. We've now lost 18 minutes of football to, a standstill protest. And at some point they could escalate it. They could sit down on the field. They could, um, technically they could have one guy stand on the ball while everybody else sits down. As long as the ball's in play, you're, you know, like what can the ref do? What can
What can the ref
anybody
do?
do?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure that they're getting creative in talking about this because, um, I think that we have entered an era where some of the We've had the owners have had several generations to iterate against basic strike actions, um, and so we need to iterate on our end too. And this feels to me this sort of dynamic, unspoken, just you know, flex on the part of the players is both very smart and I think something they shouldn't speak to at all. If the league presses them on it, they should not have anything. What are you talking about? Like
Hmm.
this is purely within the purview of every player. If one guy wants to get out there and scab it up and like, wait, everybody's going to stand there for a minute and he's going to take off and run around. Okay, well, be that big break strike, like brave strike breaker, man. Like it's fine. You don't have to, you don't have to get tackled all day, every day in practice. I guess maybe you probably do. Um,
I can't imagine being that guy,
yeah.
that does something like, yeah.
Um, but I think that, as in Minnesota, there are things that can accomplish that nothing else can accomplish. And I hope the players keep going.
Um, I just two things. I mean, before we go, I want to know, like, uh, my kind of question, not necessarily to you, but in general, is is this something that maybe the Federation is kind of getting away scot-free with, as far as not facing any criticism towards any of what's going on, because it seems like these are standards that can be implemented within your professional leagues. Um, because we talk about PLS all the time. We hear about
You
PLS all the
know,
time.
yeah, I think that it is. I think that first of all, U.S. soccer has spent hundreds of millions of dollars defending itself against lawsuits, some of which were, you know, against things it was obviously doing, some against are probably things which it was trying to avoid doing, but which it blundered into.
Hmm.
So I think they are at this point an organization that is extremely um, like averse to being sued. um, so what that means is that they're going to be a very light touch administrative force. They're going to come in and suggest things. They're going to maybe have it over a conversation and not put it in writing. Um, you know, I think that they are hoping that this is a situation that USL can put its own house in order and that they don't have to get involved and that they've done what they can to cook the books for MLS with the professional league standards,
Hmm.
and they're kind of like, hey, those are the rules. Like if these assholes can scrape together 8 teams that meet this standard, they've got a league, and we can't say no. Like I think that's what's going on, is that they needed to divorce. They were in the middle of separating, and then they got yet another lawsuit, and here's how they decided to handle it. Like, okay, like they're like, look, man, we can't keep they're watching us. They're literally watching. They're gonna subpoena all of our communications. Like
Hmm.
we can't conspire. So it's been good, and these are the rules we cooked up that you said 10 years ago would absolutely fuck them. And it seems like it's maybe still fucking them a little bit, but less so over time, which is to be expected. And we're just not going to let you revise them. We're not going to let you say, oh, no, 30,000 seat stadium and top 50 markets only, which is the kind of thing that if this was happening 15 years ago, that's what they would have done. They're just like, well, let's just rewrite them. Let's just make it
Yeah.
harder.
Yep.
Um, they can't now. And so, like,
Um, Go ahead.
no, I think it's a measure of how the reason why this stuff doesn't exist is how difficult this is to put together, and the fact that the players are asking for completely normal shit, and the clubs are
Hmm.
like pulling out their pockets and going like, shaking the lint, like, hey, do you want to have soccer? Um, so, there's nobody's obviously, with the exception of potentially the league office, like, twirling their mustache and the bad guys here. Having said that, um, the workers deserve, you know, these minimal protections and concessions that they're asking for 100%. So,
Absolutely. Real quick because we didn't do it. Quick predictions on Indy 11.
oh, right, we gotta,
I'm assuming we're going to be picking Detroit to beat the Rangers tomorrow. But
yeah,
um
yes.
and I'll get that out as well. But Indy 11, Sean, who do you got?
Um, well, I said 2-0 last week. I think I'm going to say 2-0 again this week. I think we're going to win 2-0. Uh, and I think we will be right back here going, are we good? Like question mark? Like if we go out there and like wax them, if we go to Indy and win, 6-0, like all right, maybe we're really good. But if it's pretty much what we saw this week, we might be still kind of going, I mean, like probably good, you know. Um, yeah. What do you think?
I'm gonna go 2-1 City. I'll go Dioff and uh, let's go Jesse L.
Nice.
Um, Dioff, Jesse L. Getting the 2 goals and
I'm gonna
City
go.
start
The goals for me will be Maxi
Maxi. Okay.
and Callum Montgomery
All
off
right.
off a set piece.
Oh,
Like he,
nice.
he had one set piece where it came to his head and he just like couldn't it kind of like I think it got on him before he was really ready for it and kind of glanced wide. It's like just yeah, I mean that's how how corners are. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like it's an 80% chance when it's an 8% chance. You're like,
All right. So we have City coming out, looking to be 2-0, when we get back to it next week. I'm assuming same time, same place.
yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else tonight? Any closing thoughts as we wrap things
Um,
up?
mm, no, I'm just gonna like keep it neat.
I will say they'll go sign up for Sean's words about the shapes.
Oh Jesus.
Patreon. Best $3 you'll ever spend if you're a City supporter. Other than that, like I said, City tomorrow night, Open Cup, I believe 7 p.m. in Brighton. Don't go to Keyworth. You're not going to see anything there. Go
Right.
west. If you're if that's the direction you usually would go to Brighton. Um,
Go to Brighton,
head to
okay? Go to
Brighton.
Brighton.
Yep, don't go to Keyworth. Michigan Rangers tomorrow night at the Legacy Center in Brighton. And then this weekend they've got Indy 11 as league play resumes. So for Sean, I'm Adam. Have a good rest of the night, everybody.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this episode of Make City Make Spence. To see not only this one, but prior Make City Make Spence episodes, go to detroit.themajorsports.com where you can check out all of our catalog and all things going on with not only Detroit City FC centric content, but any Majors Detroit content in general. Additionally, you can find us on YouTube at The Majors TV. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you already haven't yet. And you can also find us on wherever you check social media stuff out. We are on Twitter and Instagram at TMSNX Detroit, Blue Sky at TMSNX Detroit, bsky.social, and The Majors Detroit on Facebook. Additionally, wherever you check out your podcast, be sure to not only like and subscribe, but leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out all of our efforts here at The Majors Detroit. Thanks again, and catch you next time.